in between that, looks like there's some type of highway there that goes towards Onslow in Wyoming, Iowa. Y'all be on the watch. You've got a storm that is trying to wrap up once again, and this time it might attempt to produce a tornado. For the north, we've got a little bit of a supercell cluster up between Hopkinton, Iowa, and Cassville. That's going to continue moving east. There's been a couple different areas of rotation within that multiple times. We've had a couple of tornadoes in Wisconsin. What was it called? I think it was Union City, Wisconsin. They had a fairly stout tornado roll through pretty recently. And had a very, very large debris ball. Did not look like a good situation. Looked pretty strong. Otherwise, we've got a ton of hailstorms. North suburbs of Milwaukee. You have quite the supercell headed right at you. This thing is riding. Looks like it's riding a boundary. It's definitely got a ton of good info. It's the lead cell on a smaller cluster, but that is heading into the north side of Milwaukee very, very soon. Well, not soon, but about an hour.
You've just gone tornado warned on that one as well.
Yep.
We can go ahead and bring it on that. That's your Milwaukee cell.
I don't like the presentation of that one. That looks very sketchy. It's really trying to hook out into Delafield, north of Delafield.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have a ton of large hail. I don't think there's a single severe thunderstorm warning calling for anything smaller than ping pong ball size hail at this point, except maybe what's coming through Iowa City right now.
Check out Indiana and Ohio border. Let's take a look at that real quick. Oh, right here. We got another cell firing right here, too. Multiple severe thunderstorm warning. Let me switch towers real quick. Kind of in no man's land there. Okay.
Fairly low over there.
Yeah, and you've got a...
I don't speak Spanish, Raul Perez, but I believe you're talking about big thunderstorms in Puerto Rico. Yes, I have seen those. I'm happy that the flood risk is a lot lower than forecast. I got a friend who lives down there. He's also a meteorologist. And, it looks like the U.S. Virgin Islands ended up getting most of the rain on that one.
So there you go, right there. You've got a big storm with, you've got the analog is trying to pick up a TVS. You have a 50-mile-an-hour wind report from SN, Spotter Network. You've got a good-sized hail core right there. And with a hail spike, you've got a hail spike running off of that one. There's going to be good hail on that one.
I'd say you also got a flood track there. That is some torrential rainfall coming down.
You can take a look. So you do have some velocity signatures there, but keep in mind with us being, let me zoom out a little bit. Let's run the distance from that northwest tower. You're looking at 6,500 feet to that couplet. So there is rotation in that storm. There is a meso there. Mesocyclone is definitely present, but that's at a mile and a half up. So that's a very elevated mesocyclone. Where it's at right now, it's just really hard to see it at the surface. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll hop back over and watch that again. Right now, it's a hailer. It's a big hailer, but kind of waiting to see if that that couplet makes it down to the surface. Right now, it's kind of in no man's land in regards to radars.
I would also say those cells might be a little bit elevated.
Yeah, it's definitely got the elevated look. So when you look at it over here,
you've got some more marginal dew points over there as well.
Yeah, whatever your the lower your dew points, the higher your base is going to be, because the more difficult your ability to reach saturation levels. Let's check Yes, tonight, later tonight is what you're going to be waiting for. Absolutely. Okay, let's get off of this. For some reason, my 4 pane display is not showing.
Yeah, I don't like that look. That Milwaukee storm is
No,
getting
we've got,
real feisty there.
well,
At minimum, your RFD is going to pack quite a punch. We're real close to the radar site, and I'm seeing upper 60s, low 70s on velocity.
that is
so
a
you got
very,
a big punch of wind. Got some hail reports in that area. Quarter, half inch. I would prepare for some larger stones, possibly.
yeah. And it's definitely making an attempt. That is for sure. But we'll keep this here for a minute. We'll watch. I'll bring up, let's see here.
They have a very, very sharp temperature gradient. '77 at the Waukesha County Airport, 63 at Lawrence J. Timmerman Airport.
Are there any traffic cams in that area? That is a good question. Caleb, can you see if you can bring up some Waukesha traffic cams? I will also take a look.
Yeah, I got you. 1 second. Okay, this is about to come into Milwaukee, Minnesota. There's a lot of traffic cam options in there. All of them point to the ground.
Yeah, they're all looking at the ground from what I can see. So Nick's on the traffic cams. Let me see here. So once again, you've got a very strong supercell tornado radar indicated. You've got a very wicked looking hook. Storm relative velocity is.
Has a I-94 traffic camera.
Say what?
Heartland, Wisconsin has an I-94 traffic camera.
Okay. Is it looking up at the sky?
It's looking at the road. Doesn't seem to be working now.
Yeah.
It's coming through on Weatherbug, but you can't get to play.
You've got some strong inflow and outflow on there. It's definitely trying to wrap. If it wraps, it's going to be big. You can see that RFD and the inflow starting to affect.
It's really anywhere along there. There's a smaller town, Cheniqua.
Yeah, this is going to be a very large tornado if this actually touches down.
I think you'll either get a large tornado on this, or you'll get a bunch of little quick ones.
It's hard to tell right now. You've got a CC drop in the middle there, but it's kind of loose, so it's hard to tell if that's. I mean, there could possibly be something right here, just west of Heartland, but the only issue with that is, well, I mean, it could be.
Cheniqua is what that just sort of went through.
Yeah.
Heartland. Well, at this point, Heartland has like moments.
You can definitely see your inflow jet. It's very pronounced near Heartland. And then you've got your RFD that's wrapping around through all of these Indian towns towards Cheniqua. And so it's a very broad circulation, but it's also a very powerful circulation.
Yeah, I'd say your biggest threat here is definitely going to be those straight line winds. I'm going to go look around at some of the other ones. You got a flash flood threat that's already happening. I mean, you got a flash flood warning extending all the way back towards Cross Plains and Middleton.
Yeah.
And there's another set of supercells coming in following that same track. So hopefully those are transitioning to more of an elevated winds and hail threat, because they are running into air that has been eaten up by those earlier cells. The Iowa cells are definitely the most concerning right now. The Iowa cells and the Milwaukee bound cell.
Yeah. So there's your
are the two closest.
I mean, look at that. Just in this last update, like that frame, like it just wraps in so tight right there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, what was another one that we were looking at? These guys right here. Which ones do we want to bring up?
Bring up your Quad Cities, KDDN. So you've got a supercell near Wayland, Iowa. That's your southern one, south of Davenport, southwest of Davenport. And then you have the Anamosa cell, that's northwest. You've got a left mover that is dying, but it is getting pulled towards this cell. So that could make for an interesting cell interaction right there. I mean, you have the one cell feeding into the back of that Anamosa cell a little bit.
Yeah.
So that might cause a quick wrap right there. But I'd say the southern cell is a little bit more concerning. It's got a lot of time and space to work with.
Would you be referring to that?
No, southwest of that. So just follow the warnings down, and then you'll run right into it.
Oh, you've got a new tornado warning right here. Just popped up. Although, yeah, the one southwest of Davenport. Yeah, that one just went tornado warned. We now have a tornado warning on that one. Near Crawfordsville, Columbus Junction, Pleasant Plain. It's definitely got the look.
Yeah, the only concern there, in terms of tornado formation, your winds are a little bit more southwesterly rather than just pure southerlies.
Yeah.
But it won't matter if this starts moving more east. If it starts turning a little bit more eastward, that's a good indication of tornado genesis to occur.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that one.
Meanwhile, I'm going to look down south towards Oklahoma. Duncan, Oklahoma just had a pretty solid hailstorm. Looks like the hail core might have went straight through town.
That's never a good thing. All right, you've got a report. Chasers on the ground are reporting rotation is visible. Let's see. Wall cloud moving very swiftly into the storm. Too much rain. It's rain wrapped. And that is right under the inflow. Well, it does sound like it's struggling to get itself consolidated.
Yeah, the RFD on this one is hopefully just too strong.
The only thing is, it's keeping that inflow notch pronounced for the most part at the moment. So we'll see.
Yeah, You might get a bunch of spin-ups off of this.
There might be one of those ones where it's you, like you were saying, you just get a bunch of touch and goes that go around that rotating mesocyclone.
We need more radars in Wisconsin.
You ain't even kidding.
Looking at these cells over towards Montello, Portage, Wisconsin. I'd say the one north of Lewiston, close to Portage, that's probably your most concerning. Princeton cell's got a very, very strange look to it. It's a little bit hard to read just because of radar distance. Switch to Green Bay. Here, Princeton cell. Any reports on that Princeton cell at all?
I'm just doing a broad scan for reports. I've got one funnel cloud report from earlier. That's it. Yeah, there's nothing else has been reported so far on this line.
There's no spotter network indicators on that Princeton cell either. It doesn't look like anybody's really on that.
Yeah, I'm just having a radar scope's acting up on me a little bit. Yeah, there's nothing at this time. New tornado warning. You've got several tornado warnings going on right now. These two have gone tornado warned now. But they may have already been tornado warned. They dropped the tornado warning near Davenport.
Yeah, Wayland storm. Yeah.
So this is that looking up above Quad Cities, that one cell that was near Onslow and Monticello is now looking a little less organized. It's almost like it's split right down the middle. It's hard to tell because it used to have that very pronounced mesa right here, and now there's a weak echo gap that's forming in the middle, so it's hard to tell what's going on there.
It's because it's a hail spike right there.
True. Yep, I see it.
True. So that's going to give you a contaminated view until it changes the angles.
Okay, that would check out then. So you've got, yep, that would check out. So far, everything is radar indicator. Everything is confirmed. That's always a good thing. Let's check on our Milwaukee tornado since it's tornado warning, I should say, since it's very close. But that's not a good look. Yeah, it's not a good look. Starting to tighten up right near Sussex. You might be getting something that's trying to form right there. Yep, right here. That's gonna be your player right here. If there's gonna be something that's going, it's trying to get itself together right here.
Yeah, it just got that update.
Yeah, it's wrapping tight. It's right there in the inflow. Yeah. Look at that right there. You can really start seeing it wrapping in right here.
Looks like town of Lisbon. Ignore that sound. My cat just sprinted out of the room.
Yeah, Lisbon is not in a good state. That is for sure. If you are anywhere in this area, you need to be taking shelter. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yep, it went. So once again, if you're near the town of Lisbon, Sussex, Lannon, Germantown, or Menomonee Falls. There's a potentially large tornado that's in the process of coalescing itself and putting itself on the ground. This storm is moving almost due east. It's headed for the north parts of Milwaukee, so more towards Brown Deer, Bayside, Fox Point, Glendale, Whitefish Bay. Once again,
pull up that correlation coefficient again.
Yeah, once again, potentially very large tornado that is attempting to form, if not currently forming near Lisbon, right here.
I'd treat that as if it's down.
Yeah, you've got a significant CC drop right there in the middle, like, yeah, yeah, you've got a tornado on the ground in Lisbon. Yep, and it lines up with the velocity. That tornado could be considered to be on the ground.
Meanwhile, back on that Iowa storm, you've got another raft trying to form. Looks like it might go into Onslow, Iowa. If you're in Onslow, Iowa, definitely take shelter.
All right, let's get a nearby radar if we even have one. Yep, there you go. Definitely got a wrap trying to form right there near Center Junction, Onslow. Yep. Still radar indicated, but definitely trying to wrap something up there. Once again, though, very, very concerned over the situation near Milwaukee. If I can find my... Yeah, you've definitely got a...
Oh, that's a bad CC drop.
Yeah, that's a significant drop.
As low as 0.2.
Let me bring it back up over here where the folks can see it. There's a big debris ball in the town of Lisbon. Yeah, the town of Lisbon has taken a direct hit by a large tornado that touched down just west of the town, and is proceeding east. Landon, you are next. North ends of Sussex. And Landon, you are next. Large tornado on the ground, radar confirmed. Significant CC drop that is unfortunately people's houses and structures and vehicles. Large tornado on the ground. There we go. Okay, now my dual panel is here. Okay, that's what I was wanting. So now we've got it all. So let me get off this digitally vertically integrated liquid. Take that back to reflectivity. Let's zoom in on that. Once again, large tornado on the ground. Large tornado on the ground. North of Milwaukee. We're going to stick here for a bit. Very well-defined inflow notch. Your storm relative velocity is tight. You've got a well-defined inflow. Looks like the tornado is going to pass through the north parts of Sussex. The tornado will be. Lisbon is just getting absolutely crushed right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's my next radar update. It's in Landon.
Yeah, that is not good.
Unless it occludes. The hope with these is that they just occlude fast.
Once again, significant tornado. Significant tornadoes just hit the town of Lisbon. Wisconsin. Looking and waiting to see if we can get some spotter reports. We don't have any spotter reports for Lisbon yet. Um, so with the next update that has just come through, the correlation coefficient drop has disappeared. Um, but the velocity couplet is still tight. Now that doesn't mean anything. That could just mean that the tornado is no longer striking structures and is out over open area. Could be a region of flat land there. You also could be looking at, yeah, like I said, more uniform debris, more dirt, grass, that kind of thing. To a lesser extent, trees, because you still have CC drops right here. There's still that kind of a pseudo debris ball right here, but everything that was being picked up is not showing. And so there you go. There's your next update, and it looks like your tornado has occluded. The tornado has been upgraded to observed. Radar confirmed tornado in Sussex. So take that. The signature does look a lot less impressive now, but they have upgraded the tornado to confirmed, radar confirmed. There's still kind of a pseudo debris ball between Lisbon, the town of Lisbon, and Sussex. Um, kind of,
I would treat this as a continuation of an active tornado warning.
Yeah,
I would treat this as if this tornado is still on the ground.
Absolutely.
It's going to cycle really, really fast.
yeah, because you've got multiple. If you can see this, you've got multiple potentials right there. So that's either multiple touch and go tornadoes as it's cycling, or you potentially also have a larger multiple vortex tornado. You've got right here. This is worth taking note of as well. You have got what looks like hail on the radar here. That may not be hail. We do not have, so this right here could be also large airborne debris that the radar is confusing to be high amounts of precipitation and hail. Because once again, don't forget, there is still a scattered CC drop right here. So while you don't have a debris ball, all of this is likely not just hail, it's debris that has been picked up by this tornado and scattered around. Something that I consider to be concerning too, you had a very deep debris ball that had a very, very, very rapid CC drop, and then it cleared very fast, which means you had very large debris in the air. That very large debris came down to the ground pretty quick, which means the tornado was picking up very heavy objects, which means the tornado was likely very strong as it came through. You've got somewhat of a debris ball that has just popped up again east of Lisbon. That's at your 2334Z. That would be your 7:34 Eastern, 6:34 Central time frame, and we do not have a velocity to match that yet. We do have a radar update, and the radar update is showing what it interprets as large amounts of hail with that CC drop. So, one of two things: you've either got a hail dump that is occurring east of Lisbon, or our tornado has cycled and is making an attempt again.
You might even get a new cycle between Butler and Menomonee Falls. As if that Lisbon tornado is still on the ground, it's in the process of occluding, I think.
I think you're going to get, you're new. So looking to me, like you were saying, it does look like it's cycling. And I would agree. Your new formation will be between Butler and Menominee Falls, right here. You've got so what you've got right now is this storm is undergoing what we call cyclic tornadogenesis. So if you look at the radar, you've got your classic hook everybody knows about. But if you notice, the velocity couplet is, hang on, the velocity couplet is down near Sussex. One of them is, okay. That's where the tornado was that just hit. Um, that just hit Lisbon, town of Lisbon. Okay, let me get this just so we can compare. So this is where your old velocity couplet is. Now you notice where your notch is. It's up here. So what's happening is as this storm, okay, as this storm turns and cycles on itself, your mesocyclone rotates inside the storm. So your old mesocyclone has rotated like this as the storm itself continues to progress to the east. As the rear flank downdraft occludes with the forward flank downdraft, okay, this meso here starts choking itself off. Okay. As that happens, you get a new rear flank downdraft right here, a new forward flank downdraft right here. The cycle continues. Your new tornado will form right here near the inflow notch in that general vicinity. I know things aren't 100% stacking up. For once, we do have all of our scans matching. Um, it'll form somewhere near that inflow notch, okay? And it will, in its own turn, rotate to the north and then ultimately to the west and down. And this is what we call cyclic tornadogenesis. The tornado turns to the north and then eventually to the west and the southwest and dies, and a new one forms to its east. It kind of jumps, if you will. That's trademark of a cyclic tornado producer, which this cell is absolutely doing as it is up in front and riding that boundary.
I will say it is going to run into slightly more stable air.
Yes.
Just east of Butler, it is 61 over 54. So hopefully that helps with reducing the tornado risk on this. And hopefully this next cycle just surges your RFD forward.
But
and you just end up with damaging winds and hail instead of what was likely a fairly strong tornado right there.
Yes.
We're going to keep an eye on that one. I am still keeping an eye on our Iowa storms as well. So Crawfordsville. Hey, there's one over there too.
Okay.
How many Crawfordsvilles we got in the U.S. that we hadn't chased inside of?
You've got a special marine warning now for the water. And I'm trying to get a hold of this mesocell discussion that just popped up.
All right. Yeah, you got some big hail rolling through Crawfordsville, Columbus City, Iowa, Columbus Junction, Iowa, maybe definitely the south side of Columbus City, Iowa. You guys are getting some really big hail. There is some pretty big hail also falling out of the mesocyclone of this storm, which is definitely very visible in Crawfordsville. We'll be keeping an eye on that because it is starting to move a little bit more east, more of an easterly motion, and then you still got that storm to the north. It's getting its act together as well, north of Monmouth.
So the Mesoscale discussion 4:30 that was issued about 30 minutes ago, so right about when we jumped on this cell. Talking about the two supercells towards Milwaukee Metro. They have ample shear, 0 to 6 kilometer ample shear. That leads supercell. They targeted as the greatest tornado threat. That was before it produced, with probable peak tornado intensity, the most probable peak tornado intensity was 140 to 170 miles an hour. And given what we just saw, that tornado arguably could have been making a run for that. We will find out. We will leave it to the experts tomorrow to give us that monster hail. Most probable peak hail size, according to this discussion, 2.75 to 4.25 inches. Baseballs, in addition to this tornadic threat here. Still a very, very, very well defined notch there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's
Large.
going to do it on this RFD surge, thankfully.
Yeah, looks
right
like
now,
it.
that looks a little bit too surged out.
Singing a
But
swan song. There's a large hail dump happening near Butler as well. 1 inch hail being reported in Butler currently. So that RFD, as it's surging around, is dumping a lot of hail, which that hail will be cooling the air as well, helping that RFD surge out and choke off your inflow, which your inflow is running out of unstable air. Like Caleb was saying, as it gets closer to the water. As a matter of fact, there you go. Your 6:41 Central Time velocity update. It looks a lot messier, a lot more outflow dominant, less inflow. Looks like the inflow has almost completely choked off. Um, Thankfully, it looks like this large supercell is singing its swan song. But unfortunately, the damage has been done. It does look like a large tornado has made it down in the city of Lisbon. Hopefully, the damage will not be as bad as the radar indicated. The preliminary radar signature was very, very bad. So, Caleb, since this storm right now looks like thankfully it's going outflow and hail dominant, let's go ahead and look at um, our next tornado threat. Where were we at? There's multiple tornado reports now popping up. You can see those tornado signatures on the map on your Onslow storm. There are now 7 tornado markers. Yeah. Active tornado, rope tornado. Okay, roped out. Tornado was on the ground and roped out. It is partially dissipated as of 7:38.
Yep, just click the radar back in that area, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like a tornado did indeed go through Onslow. Yeah, we'll
Looks
play.
like it might have gone through the north and northwest sides of Onslow, and
Let me update the tower. I'm on the wrong tower.
Fast.
Let me see
Any
here.
of the distances on those reports?
What you mean? There you
like
go.
In the report wording.
Yeah.
Say, like,
so 2 miles north of 1 mile east northeast of Wyoming, Iowa. 1 mile north of Monmouth, Iowa. 1 mile west northwest of Emily.
Okay.
The preliminary report was a rope tornado near Amber, Iowa, 3 miles south southwest.
Wow.
So it looks like it was a very thin tornado, past kind of looks like possibly just south of Center John, south of Onslow. Let's go ahead and we'll play the loop just so we can take a look at it. Here, let me adjust my settings. It's yeah, I don't want 6 frames. I want my 30. Please and thank you. Let's run that loop again. Let's get that full loop going.
Still watching that storm south of Columbus City, Iowa as well. Still
Yeah,
got healthy inflow.
Columbus City. All right, give me a little bit of a direction here. Is that the one near
Southwest of Davenport.
southwest of Davenport? Yes, yes, definitely. You have a tornado warning for that storm. It is still continuing to be radar indicated and has now extended far enough out where it's 43 minutes until expiration. And that and one is just riding on the south end, so that's kind of on that boundary. Caleb, how are we looking with Oklahoma right now? Has anything gone in Oklahoma?
Yeah, you have just a bunch of hailstorms at this point. A little bit of a disorganized cluster mode. A couple of left movers.
I'd be looking for your tail end here to cycle again. Um, Near Monmouth. Looks like it's trying to ingest that cell to its south.
Yeah.
I would expect this one to fully cycle again. This is a tail end Charlie. You may even have this is actually two supercells right here. You have a cell here, and then you also have a second cell here. So they're semi-discrete, kind of running into each other right there. The westernmost one, it's Anvil, and outflow is kind of feeding into the RFD of the cell in front of it. Um, and then you've also got this embedded supercell up here with multiple areas of rotation. Um, Kind of headed towards Galena, Scales, Mount St. Donatus. Probably messed that up. Guilford. Latest radar update kind of looks more like a Boeing segment, but anything could form along this line right here. Your sharp contrast between your inflow and outflow. This likely right here, this little area could be an area of interest, but anywhere along this surge right here, you could be dealing with uh, kind of like a hybrid proto QLCS type storm, where you get a very quick, strong spin up tornado that dissipates just as quickly as it formed. Still watching this guy. Very, very tight rotation in spite of its initial appearance. Definitely completely ingesting the cell to its south. The question will remain, will it be a constructive merger or a destructive merger? Our latest scan, though, is showing a significant wrap. It's hard to tell if that's just side lobe contamination with it being with the inflow here. We'll have to wait for the next scan, but you've definitely got a significant inflow versus outflow right there.
One thing that may happen is it intakes that little cell coming into Monmouth.
Yes.
And wraps into Mankokita, Iowa, to the south.
Yes, that is also true. Your meso could end up surging strongly to the southeast and then end up blowing up down there. So you could actually get a situation with this merger where your mesocyclone, which is right here, your very well-defined mesocyclone, could end up jumping south. And as you can tell, there's a lot of chasers going down there. So it makes you wonder if some folks are starting to have the same idea. But as that, so there you go. Your merger's beginning now. That meso is actually starting to surge. It actually is starting to surge towards the southeast. So what you're witnessing right here is you're starting to witness that jump as that zipper kind of closes, if you will, as that cell to the south merges. It's creating basically a gigantic rear flank downdraft. So your mesocyclone, which was originally wrapped up here, is going to end up kind of surging to your southeast and may even end up tightening up with a much greater intensity than it had prior. So we just need to watch this one closely.
checking out the Milwaukee cell one more time. Yeah, definitely got that elevated look.
Yeah, as it's heading towards the lakes, it's going to start. We're dropping a lot of ice in the lakes, but not so much a tornado.
Cell behind it as well is a big, messy hail producer. You'll probably get some quick flash flooding as well.
Yes, you definitely have a flood advisory setting up there. You've got a big, big, big train of chasers that are moving towards, let's see here, Maquoketa. A lot of chasers are moving down that road, headed towards town. As once again, that rotation is surging down to your southeast. All right, there's another update. It's kind of wrapped up a little more and is moving now more towards the east. Definitely a lot more pronounced. You've got a new and rejuvenated rear flank downdraft in that cell. It may not surge all the way south to the town because it's starting to surge kind of towards the east now, with that merger from that small cell that was ingested almost complete. Looks like your new area of concern is going to be right here.
Well, see, those chasers and spotters could also be posting up for the one behind it that's moving past Onslow right now. So we'll have to see.
Yes, that could be, because as this right here wraps up, that in itself is going to end up potentially curling to the southeast towards Monmouth, as this one is really starting to beef up. The lead cell is really starting to beef up here as that updraft continues to push to the east and the south. I do believe it's going to shift south possibly a little bit more, but it is definitely not moving to the northeast. It's moving east or just south of east for sure. Definitely a much better look to it than prior. You now have two tornado warnings on this cell. You have the old warning. Now you have a new one that is extended out, and you have another tornado warning just north of it for the St. Donatus storm that is potentially manifesting those, what we were calling the QLCS spin-ups along that leading surge. Once again, we are watching this cell because it is looking, it's definitely getting that look again. It's looking a lot better now than it did before. You may be getting another attempt with this cyclic producer.
That is a high precip mess. This is going to be a rain-wrapped ghost.
Yes. Andrew, Iowa. Take this one seriously. If you know anybody in Andrew, Iowa, please, please, please get them to go indoors, take shelter, go underground if they can. This, like Caleb was saying, this is a very fast-moving rain-wrapped mess. It's going to be very difficult to see anything.
Who's lined up on that road in front of it?
Let me see here.
I'm curious.
Brandon Kopik is right underneath it.
Yeah, they just dove south.
Yeah. The Mesa cyclone is continuing to surge south a little bit. It was due west of Andrew, and now it's just a little south of Andrew. Some of the chasers are starting to drop south a little bit. Max Olson, Dick Young.
There's two things they could have been doing right there. One, running because it's sketchy and possibly down as a tornado.
Yes.
Or 2, repositioning.
Could be. I do believe, like I was saying, I do believe that it is not done shifting. I believe this is going to continue to this shift. There you go. Man. Well, see, now it's kind of it's bobbling between going to the southeast and going to the east. But you've got, let me get this marker off the screen so you can see. You've got a very, very pronounced wrap now. Tornado is making an attempt right there. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to put this on the correlation. Everything's starting to get that look again. We don't have a CC drop yet, but this is your player right here. I'm putting it in a box so you can see all of the radar imagery overlapped on itself. Nothing on the CC drops just yet, but very, very strong rotation after that merger.
Keeping an eye on that one to the south as well. Just southeast of Columbus Junction and Columbus City, Iowa. Southwest of Davenport. Still got some broad rotation down there. It's looking like it's trying every once in a while to get its act all the way together. This cell that just underwent the merger is definitely the most pressing cell in Iowa right now. It is spamming lightning bolts too.
Well, there you go. Let me move this. That's definitely not good. It's kind of bobbling and jumping all over the place. Now you've got a very tight looking.
It could be aliasing.
Could be. That's definitely not a game I would want to play, though, for sure.
Nope.
It could also be. There is also the potential that exists that there is, as the main tornado is trying to form, you get multiple very strong funnels that touch down around the mesocyclone until one of them becomes dominant. Or it could also be a very large, very wide multi-vortex as well. There's a lot that can happen. And it could also be just a generic alias. There is a lot that could be going on there. Looking at it right there, I kind of makes me think alias because you've got your greens should be, if it's going to correspond with the peach colors, it should be bright blue. But it's just green. So it would be hard to explain away a gate-to-gate signature with 126 mile an hour inbound winds and only 33 mile an hour outbound winds. You would kind of expect that to be a little bit closer. So I think we're going to go ahead and lean with aliasing on this one so far. Definitely a nasty, nasty looking signature. Regardless, very good rotation. I still do believe the true rotation is going to be right about here. As you notice, none of the chasers are converging on that crazy zone. Everybody is, well, everybody's still south of. Don't see Brandon anymore.
I think hope it dipped south as well.
Could be he. Now, so that is a mess. That is a big mess. Something's going on in there. It's hard to tell if that's just aliasing or an actual something, but there's a very large mess going on there.
Yeah, whatever's going on in there, if you have
tree touch,
yeah, treat that as a tornado. That thing is so deeply rain wrapped.
Yes.
You'll have no time to see that.
Once again, Andrew, Iowa, Springbrook, just areas just north. You have potentially one tornado with multiple vortices, or just very, very strong winds wrapped in a mesocyclone that is completely enshrouded by heavy rain. Either way, it is not a pleasant place to be. I would be taking that very seriously.
That storm to the southwest of Davenport might get its tornado warning dropped here in a minute.
Yeah. On mine, it's not even. I don't even think it's showing on mine anymore. No, it still is. I haven't dropped it though. Just looking up towards Rice.
Still trying west of Grandview down there, Grandview, Iowa. It's still keep an eye on that. That one's just definitely going to be a more visible tornado, at least, if it were to produce.
How far south? Grandview. You know what though? Like, yeah. I mean, there you go, right there. Possibly hard to tell if that's your inflow notch right there, or if that is a ball of debris. Probably more likely an inflow notch, but it is very interesting to have your higher correlation levels and then one ball of blue in the middle. We don't like to see that. You see that, Caleb?
Hasn't quite updated on my end. Let me see. One second.
Again, that's not something I would want to.
Checking that against reflectivity as well.
That's definitely not something. There it goes.
That should be inflow notch.
Yeah. But once again, that's not something you necessarily want to play games with.
No.
Thankfully, that one is a much lower precip storm than our absolute beasts north of it. Yeah, Andrew, Springbrook, it's really hard to tell what's going on up there. Like, you've got multiple, looks like maybe it's possibly trying to cycle again. You've got 2 points of rotation there.
I'd say you've got your main meso northwest of Andrew, and then aliasing on the east side, because I just don't see there being like an anticyclonic signature right there for real.
No. And considering you've got your greens and peaches flipped on those, and there you go. Yep, that's definitely aliasing because you've got 2 cream and peach colors to the north and then to the east. And then you've got your main messy looking couplet that is due north of Andrew at the moment.
One piece of environmental analysis with this supercell cluster. Your solo rider to the south is riding in a plume of 3,000 mixed layer capes. Your holograph curvature just increasing with time. And Your thermodynamic profile looks good to sustain that storm for at least a little bit longer.
Talk about your the Grandview storm.
Whether or not it can address that inflow efficiently.
I'm talking about your Grandview storm.
Yeah, Grandview cell. And then same thing with these clusters. This cluster is riding on that plume of higher mixed layer cake that's affecting northward. And should it continue to ride that, as long as these can even stay a little bit semi-discrete, there will remain a tornado threat with these. Overall, we are starting to see a little bit more of a clustered linear mode.
Mm-hmm. Which was forecast to happen as the night went on. So your individual tornado threats are going to start to fade off as you go into that dominant linear mode.
You'll still have to watch these tail end storms, and then of course that solo supercell. Lightning activity is not as frequent with that one, but that can change if this thing starts being more efficient with its inflow. It's riding in an area of 82/64 as of 7:35 at the Muscatine Airport. Well, 6:35 Central Time. So it's still got a good environment. It's just riding in southwesterly surface winds.
Definitely still is trying near Bellevue. I would treat it as such if I were there. The only question is going to be how long can these cells sustain with the storms north of them going into a linear surge mode. As you can tell, the models are actually really picked up on it well. They showed two Boeing surges right here as the night progressed. You still got individual tornado warnings. We now have a new mesoscale discussion. Let's take a look at that. Tornadoes and very large hail remain possible this evening. The other greatest tornado threat is now going to be far eastern Iowa and northern Illinois. The low level jet will be strongest year 0 to 3. Storm relative helicity is approaching 500 square meters per square second. Additional strengthening of low level jet is expected in far eastern Iowa and northern Illinois. A near 8 centimeter per kilometer mid level lapse rate, 52 knots of effective shear. The tornado threat will be contingent on maintaining discrete storm mode. The southern supercell, so that would be your Granfield supercell, will be moving into the better low level shear environment with time, and a strong tornado would be possible with the discrete storm within that environment. Further north into southern Wisconsin, another round of severe storms is expected in the next 2 or 3 hours. Tornadoes and large to very large hail will also be possible, although storm interactions are more likely here, as well as potential impacts from earlier supercell outflow. Interesting. Okay. So that would be your. You'll have another round of storms.
They're talking about the Andrew and Bellevue cells.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Mm-hmm. because it wouldn't be your grand
Exactly.
field. It's outside of the bubble. That's right. The boundary
Yeah,
of the
the
discussion.
Grandview cell, I think one of two things happening with that. You've either got increasing convective ambition down there.
It's starting to look elevated.
There's clearly a gap in the forcing right now.
It's starting to look elevated right now.
Yeah.
It's really starting to get that look.
Firing further south.
Yeah, it's really starting to get that look.
Your boundary is very much there. Your boundary will pick up overnight. That stationary boundary that fired all of
all right. Update. Your Andrews cell has now been upgraded to observed 1.5-inch hail observed tornado. Confirmed tornado is located near Cottonville or 11 miles northeast of Maquoketa, moving east at 40. Broadcast media confirmed tornado at 23:59 Z, which would have been 6:59 Central Time, 7:59 Eastern. Local broadcast media reported a viewer video of a tornado near Andrew. So yes, there is a tornado in that mess. We have been upgraded to a confirm. Very sloppy looking presentation.
You can barely see it on correlation coefficient. It was a blip.
It was that little blip. Yep, that little blip that we saw. Not really seeing much at the moment. Let's go ahead and let's replay that though, and let's see if we can pick that up.
Watch very close to the north side of Andrew. You'll see this like almost square that moved northeast.
Yep, there you go, right there. Yep, it was very quick. Yep. It's trying to wrap itself up again. You now have a flood. Flash flood warning has been issued for the area. Between 1 and 2 inches of rain to fall, an additional 1 to 2 possible. Keep in mind, hail that falls is also going to act as a log jam. So your rain, if there is significant amounts of hail accompanying the rain in some of these areas, the rain will not drain as efficiently. You do have that threat. They have dropped the tornado north in some of the area. You have one persistent one north, although that could very possibly be just a data lag. That could be a stale warning. Same near Guilford. That could also be a stale warning. Numerous CC spikes, though. Numerous CC spikes coming out of this cell to the south. The one that has now been upgraded to an observed warning. Once again, Bellevue has been updated to observed. You've got these pockets of high winds. So it's kind of like the mesa is jumping around all over the place. Looks like this down here, just southeast of Bellevue, is where your tornado likely is at the moment, if it is still down. You've got something interesting happening up near Elizabeth. That area is also tornado warned. Caleb, you got your phone handy?
Yes, I do. Yeah, the one's me.
Yeah, I figured so. Once again, if anybody watches this replay, I know we don't really have anybody on at all. We've had a couple people hop in and out. We apologize for the delays getting on significantly later than originally forecast. Originally scheduled. We had a lot of issues with the program that we had um, acquired for live streaming. It decided that it was not going to cooperate at all. We ended up having to fall back on an emergency option, which was to run a single person stream with the other one on the phone. Trust you guys have been able to hear Caleb all right through the phone. But yes, our apologies. We had some unforeseen issues with the software, and we have had to adjust on the fly. We wanted to still go live and cover some stuff, and we did. So far, we have covered the uh, the tornado west of Milwaukee, and now we've been monitoring this tornado that just came through north of Andrew and this cyclic producer right now. So we've been telling on those, but less than ideal situation prior to that. But hey, that's the hiccups with getting a stream, getting a channel started. Right, you got all the little hiccups and bugs you got to work through. It's a lot more difficult to live stream on a computer compared to live streaming on a phone. That is for sure. Caleb, I'm beginning to think that that tornado warning that was near Andrew is a observation that is no longer current. What do you think?
I'd say it's possible you still have something maybe near what is it? H name town. I see it on yours, but
Hanover.
Yeah,
so
not Hanover, but I thought there was one in between Bellevue and Springbrook.
Let me see here. No.
I mean, you've still got like broad areas of rotation.
Yeah, and they're kind of all over the place. You've got a spot here, you got a spot here, you've got possibly a spot down here. Predominantly, these areas would be the areas of interest. This would be an old decaying mesa right here. But basically, this whole region up here near between Bellevue and Hanover is where we're watching right now. Because if there is anything of significance, it has jumped. It has jumped to the.
Up there.
Yeah, it has jumped up towards Bellevue.
I mean, it's got pretty incoherent radar presentation.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of noise happening through there.
Yeah, a lot of movement, a lot of potential for touch and goes. You've got some interesting things happening near Elizabeth. That's also warned. More of a QLCS type thing. Very stretched out, elongated mesa with that surge, that line surge right there that's happening. It does start to look like the it's starting to look like the that forward flank downdraft from the cell that's between Bellevue and Hanover. It has kind of joined forces with the cell that was north of Woodbine, and you've got a big surge from Woodbine to Hanover that I think is kind of starting to maybe choke things out a little bit for the Bellevue cell. You see what I'm saying, Caleb? It's starting to move into a worked over environment as the cell ahead of it is choking it out.
Yeah, you still have, I'm looking at other tilts right now, you still have a pretty decent meso on there.
Right, but it's starting to elevate itself.
Yeah.
And your chasers have all fallen back. They're all near Maquoketa. You've got a few up at Andrew. But really nobody's pursuing this one anymore.
Yeah, it's a lot. The lower you look in tilt, it's a lot more of a loose presentation.
Yeah, it's starting to elevate your cell down south, southwest of Davenport is becoming very linear. It's losing its hook rapidly.
Yeah, I think it's battling through a little bit of a hostile environment right now.
Yes. All right, you've got potentially some interesting things happening west of Andrew again. You got some spins wanting to happen on these little hooks right here to the west, but once again, those are now moving into a worked over environment. So there's a lot of
Well, that middle one.
it's wanting to, but you've got you've got very high helicity, but the only issue they're dealing with is all the cells that have just came through and laid all of that hail down, which that hail is going to be cooling the air around it, plus the rain and your outflows and stuff. So I mean, it's still drawing in air from the south. It still has high levels of helicity, and the jet is strengthening, but everything is beginning to transition into a linear mode. Like Caleb was saying, that middle nodule there, um, still got a really decent little couplet to it. Could potentially make an attempt at a touch and go or a brief spin up, but it's looking like that back storm is going to be running into a well. Yeah, I spoke too soon. Here you go. Really starting to wrap up there. We'll see how long that lasts. Northwest of Andrew again. Got a little bit of an inflow hook, but the inflow hook is more aligned south to north, which tells me that that rear flank downdraft is going to choke it off pretty quick. It's going to occlude rapidly. Which, as you can tell, if you look at the reflectivity at 820 compared to Eastern 720 Central, your 720 to 721, because your super res velocity is at 721, you can already see where it has rotated to the north and west with respect to that inflow notch. So it's already starting to occlude itself. Yeah. Very brief tornado, it looks like, has occurred or is currently occurring, but is already choking itself off. Your reflectivity has jumped to 723 Central and looks even more occluded than your 721 Central velocity scan there. Still a really good looking circulation there, a quick spin up, but looks like it's going to occlude itself completely quickly. Good show for those on the interstate, though.
Oh yeah, that's why I think all those tracers back to the south, they're probably doing lightning.
Yeah. That is an impressive little couplet right there. I just don't see it sustaining itself. It looks like it's attempting to occlude.
There is that linear feature behind that might try to force this supercell into another cycle.
Right here.
Yeah.
Could. Yeah, could. You do have an outflow boundary that's starting to run down. I don't know if you can see that, but your storms prior are they're kicking out right here. You've got an outflow that's right here, and this storm is pushing that as well.
Oh, yeah.
So this is surging to the south. So you may get something brief right here on kind of a pseudo triple point as that progresses to your east, but that is becoming increasingly unlikely. And your couplet right here is already starting to weaken significantly. The one near Andrew. It's indistinguishable again.
Yeah, it loosened up.
Yeah, everything is rapidly taking a linear tail right here. Said you may get something brief in this area right here. I'm trying to draw it, and it's kind of loose with
Look
the
a little
mouse.
bit further east, towards Pleasant Valley, east of Hanover.
Yeah, I see that. It's like a QLCS type thing on the edge of that surge.
And
Because
almost almost embedded supercell right there.
Yeah, but you're starting to get an outflow trying to push out ahead of it. You're trying to get a rain shield that's leading ahead. And your rear inflow jet is starting to set up. So
Look back at town of Lisbon. Any info on damage or anything over there?
yes, let's take a look. That's a good idea. You've still got that stale tornado warning up near Dodgeville, Hollandale, Mineral Point. Cleared off the map. Lots of flooding reports. Lots of flooding reports.
Yeah.
Hen egg sized hail. Hen egg sized hail in Menomonee Falls. No tornado damage so far. Nothing I can see. I'm trying to go back. Let me go back. Waukesha, Whitefish Bay, Sussex, Ping Pong, Dime. There are 2 chasers that have stopped in Lisbon, though, which is telling me that we're looking at some damage.
Yeah.
Josh Gilmore and Marianne Miley. Your tornado report from Lisbon has been pulled as well, which is interesting. So far, no huge reports, so that's a good thing. You got water on that little spot near Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, that's good. At least somebody got his eyes on him.
Yeah. All right, Caleb. So, what are we thinking as these storms are transitioning more into a linear mode?
Thinking your tailenders are still going to have that threat. There is some potential for a refire of storms later tonight along the stationary front that is draped still over central Iowa. Those are most likely just going to be elevated. Might be some wind production with them because you've got lower dew points now back there, and this is the point where storms really did not occur. Although there was a hail report coming out of Des Moines, and it's random thing. Thank you. They reported 5-inch hail.
Yeah, that's not really. And your storm near Buffalo Prairie, south of Davenport, has 2 lightning strikes with it. So
that thing's on its way out.
Yeah, it's definitely, as it gets closer to the radar, its presentation is rapidly decreasing.
Meanwhile, down in Oklahoma, you got a really messy storm mode that took over. Pretty much just linear, elevated mess, a lot of stratiform. A good wind maker coming into Frederick, Hollister, Loveland, Grandfield. Headed right at the radar.
Yeah. Well, Caleb, with the tornado threat diminishing, what you think? I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll continue to monitor and we'll post on Facebook any kind of updates, but we really wanted to be present for the tornado threat. And as we transition into that linear mode and all of these tornado warnings continue to expire, there still will be a QLCS threat on this surge edge as the linear mode takes over. There will continue to be that threat. Your tail end Charlies will still possess a threat as they pull in from the south. But yeah, your big storms we'll be continuing to keep an eye on the town of Lisbon. We'll see if we can get some updates later on that. There's chasers out there in the rural areas right now, which is telling me there's damage. we'll keep an eye on that. We'll post on Facebook for you guys. Uh, but yeah, so with everything going into linear mode, continue to be vigilant if you live in that area. Large hail, strong winds in those areas, but it's mainly going linear mode. So thinking this is a good point to call. What you think, Caleb?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So hope everyone has a great evening. Florida Man will go ahead and say that we are out. We will continue to post an update on Facebook. So stay tuned to that. And next severe threat, now that we're starting to get some of this stuff figured out, hopefully things will work a little bit better next time and we'll have a much better presentation for you guys. Thanks and have a great evening.